Good morning, everybody. Jane Monreal here with you on a Thursday morning at 9 o'clock. You're watching Live Impact News on WCNC Plus, where we bring you the news as it happens live, sometimes raw and unfiltered. And so with that, we want to take you to some breaking news right now. We have our Destiny Richards covering the truck that ran into a hotel in Shelby this morning. Destiny, what is going on there? A lot of damage behind you.
Yeah, we learned this morning that a semi-truck basically ran through the red light and crashed into the Comfort Inn here. This is on the corner of Dixon Boulevard and Marion Street in Shelby. Here's a look right now. Just about 30 minutes ago, a tow truck, within the last 30 minutes, I should say, a tow truck pulled the truck out of the building. So you can see the damage to the side of the Comfort Inn here. The good thing is nobody was seriously hurt, but we do have information from Shelby Police. They said around 5 this morning, the semi-truck was traveling west on Dixon Boulevard, so towards the direction of the Comfort Inn. They ran the the stoplight at the intersection of East Marion Street, and the truck hit two vehicles and then struck the corner of the Comfort Inn Hotel. So two people who were in those vehicles that were struck, they were transported to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. The truck driver was not injured, and then no one from the Comfort Inn was injured. We're told that the Comfort Inn was evacuated. However, there was no fire, nothing like that. An investigation is now ongoing. So right now we just know that the driver ran a stoplight here at the intersection. Still a lot of traffic in this area too, because the right lane here at the intersection here on Dixon Boulevard, which is Highway 74, it is still blocked. So folks have to move over to the left lane, and then once they pass the scene of the incident, they can get back over. But right now, still an active scene, but we have just seen the truck being towed out of the hotel. Lots of extensive damage there, lots of cleanup to do. We're also not sure exactly what the truck was hauling. We do know that there's just a lot of wooden planks out here, a lot of cleanup that's going on. Thankfully, the tow truck has just moved out of the way here so we can get a better wider look at this area. So you can see the truck right there, the damage of the front of the truck, completely smushed right there. It is honestly surprising, and thankfully that driver was not injured, but the whole front of the truck was inside the Comfort Inn, and you could only see the bed of the truck. So this is our first look at the front of the truck right now. But again, we did talk to the Comfort Inn manager. She said she couldn't say much because they still have to deal with a lot of like the damage and the legal situation with the damage of the hotel. But she said that she's just grateful that no one was hurt because it could have been a much worse situation. So right now we're just seeing the cleanup right now. No word on charges or anything towards the driver. And that is just still to come this morning, but lots of cleanup going on here and lots of traffic in the area of this Comfort Inn. Jane?
Yeah, wow, Destiny, that is wild. I'm just looking at you guys zooming in on the damage of that truck, and the rubber is off. We're down to pretty much the wheels. I was going to ask, like, what part of the truck is that? But now I can see that it is the front end, and that flat bed, I guess, part of the rig. It looks like there was a lot of wood there supplying lumber. Did you say what happened to the driver? If the driver was able to walk away, or did they go to the hospital as well, Destiny?
Yeah, so the two people that were struck in the intersection, they had minor injuries, but the truck driver was not injured. We did see someone who was sitting beside police here in the parking lot of the Comfort Inn. They had a bandage on their hand. We are not sure, that's not confirmed if they're the driver or not. So we don't have information as to who the driver is, but we know that, yeah, he was not injured. So at this time, we are just seeing the cleanup right now. We don't know exactly who was driving the truck. We just know that they passed through the intersection here. So yeah, still limited information, still an early investigation going on, but definitely a mess to be cleaned up here.
Destiny, do you know what part of the hotel it hit? Was it a conference room or a guest room?
Yeah, right now they could not tell us that. The GM of the Comfort Inn said she just emphasized just how much they could not talk about yet as regards to the damage and what happened here. Just that she's grateful no one was hurt. And I feel like if it was somebody's room, if they were in there, it would be a much worse situation that we're talking about this morning. It's definitely likely that this is close to the front lobby because this is on the front right side of the hotel. Just to the left of us here is the front doors of the Comfort Inn. So it is close to the front of the hotel, but we don't know exactly what room it is. Again, very limited information from the Comfort Inn employees here, but definitely they're grateful because it could have been a much worse situation. And we do see Shelby Fire now also walking towards the damage. So definitely lots of cleanup. Duke Energy is also here on scene. Obviously, a lot of safety measures going into this as well.
Yeah, we could see the traffic lights. They seem to be working, but just power in the area, or if it knocked out power to the hotel. That's one of those questions to ask and see what the assessment
Yeah, we're
would
still
be.
seeing power lines up here, and the traffic lights at the intersection are still working. Traffic is obviously being diverted just because the scene is still active, but as far as power to the hotel itself, they couldn't tell us if there were any specific things that they were doing because of this damage, if they're not checking out people at this time. No details could be revealed there, but as of what we can tell right now, it seems like power is working at least outside of the building.
Okay, Destiny Richards live there in Shelby here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus with the latest on the rig that crashed into the Comfort Inn near Cleveland Mall. Thank you. What wild pictures there. All right. The speed they must be doing to run into the side of the building as well and break all that glass. We saw the metal beams all bent as well. Just pretty crazy. Thanks, Destiny. we'll keep you updated on that investigation and cleanup in Shelby as we get more information as well. We also want to bring you this local story. How about this? Whataburger is open. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, in Gastonia. Order your Whataburger fries and I usually get the number 6. That's all I know. It's a junior double patty.
Yum.
Because the patties are kind of small. But it's, yeah, especially with the junior. And I don't have as much bread, but I get some good flavor packed in that little burger with a double patty junior with a small fry.
Yep.
And I don't even know what else. And in the mornings, I would get a B.O.B., a Bob.
Morning too?
Well, they're open. They should be open 24 hours, right? I think that's how it went down in Texas. But I'm not quite sure the Gastonia. Oh, is he 24 hours?
24 hours?
Yeah.
Would you look at that? Well,
But-
we have video. Hold on, let me try and play it for you.
Okay, go ahead.
The people's.
This is
ribbon cutting.
Look at that.
And all
Open at 8
that.
o'clock this morning.
Yeah.
The first Charlotte area Whataburger restaurant
So
opening.
you're familiar.
I am, because I lived in South Texas.
Texas.
Where it was born, where
just had
Whataburger was born.
The first time a couple months ago.
What did you think?
Delicious.
It is
It is
delicious.
delicious. I've gone there now because I've
Look at
had to
that
go
line.
back and forth to Charleston a few times, and there's one they just opened not too long ago in Columbia area, like right
Oh,
off
is that
77,
right?
like easy on, easy off, and it was great. It was great. I sat there in my car, ate it. Delicious.
When you have a hankering for some fast food,
It's the perfect halfway point too for me in the drive.
Right, that's true.
So you
And-
gotta stop. You gotta stop and get a burger.
yeah, they have the spicy ketchup.
Yes.
If you
Love.
like that little hit
Love.
of kick in your ketchup,
Sure do.
there you go. There you have it. And the Bob, the breakfast on a bun, is what I would get in the
Breakfast on a
morning
bun.
sometimes.
Now I'm gonna have to go up there for breakfast.
You know, and then
It's a hike for me, but I'll do it.
Right, you'll go there
I'll
at
do
4 or 5 in the morning.
For some good food, I'll do that.
and then forget about it late night after.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
After, I don't know, watching a boxing or soccer match or something.
Anything.
Swing by the
Swing
good
by.
old Whataburger. All right, so a lot of folks there are obviously excited as they lined up. They're familiar with the hype that Whataburger is. And we're going to have several more open up in the Charlotte area. Fantastic. Well, good fun. They got their first free Whataburgers there. Is that fun?
That's fun.
That is great. Okay, so wow, what a busy morning, because also happening right now live is the Karen Reed retrial. Will the prosecution rest this morning after they've called their last, I believe, witness to the stand, which was a kind of a reconstruction of a crash expert. And let's listen in here live now out of Dedham, Massachusetts. Karen Reed in its 6th week where the prosecution hopes to rest their case. Here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus.
It was more likely than not that it was Trooper Paul in those slides, but the point, whether it's Trooper Paul or not, is completely overwhelmed by what I just argued and presented as specific factual basis for a review, a consideration, and an adoption of the work of Trooper Paul. Unless Your Honor has any questions, I would now move on to Dr. Scorti-Bello. Thank you. Dr. Scorti-Bello will be much shorter. Mr. Woke, do we have the slide of the Dr. Scorti-Bello that was it's at the end of the slide presentation with her name on it?
The TV's off,
Oh.
but I have
If you just give the slide number, please.
131.
So it is slide 131. I almost know it verbatim, Your Honor, so I will continue. If Ms. Gilman has slide or someone could turn it on. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, you know what? We're going to switch gears here while the prosecution team of the Karen Reed retrial tries to regroup and reset their, not closing arguments, but trying to rest that part of the case here in week 6. Want to shift now over to Mecklenburg County because there is a meeting that's happening right now, just got underway, and County Manager Dan Diorio is running things here. It is the budget straw vote. It's really a workshop on the fiscal year 2026 budget, where they kind of stand, not a formal vote per se, but as they call this, the budget straw vote. Let's listen in here now on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus.
At that time, that the cuts would come primarily to nonprofit organizations, as county departments have cut as much as they could. There were no surprises in this recommended budget. Finally, as your new county manager gets ready to take the helm, trust is of utmost importance. When you unanimously give direction to the manager must trust that the board will honor that and do what they say they're going to do. Without that trust, the manager could lose credibility in the community and his ability to lead will be impacted. So I ask that you take all of this into consideration as you move through the straw vote process. Thank you. That's it.
Thank you. Okay. So with that, I think, Adrian, are you ready?
I'm ready. Thank you, County Manager Diorio, Chairman Jarrell, members of the board. So before we begin, I do want to go over and review the process as well as demonstrate our straw vote workbook. At your seat, what you will find is a printout of all the responses that were provided to the board to your follow-up questions, as well as the straw vote workbook itself, so you can reference it as we go. Here is the straw vote process. The first step is when a board member makes a motion to change the recommended budget. An increase in any ongoing cost would also require a decrease to avoid a tax rate increase. Following the motion, the board can discuss and ask clarifying questions. When the straw vote is taken, it does not require a second. However, I do want to point out that if a substitute motion is made, then a second is required. If approved, if the straw vote is approved by a majority, we will reflect that on our workbook, and we will show you the impact to the budget and to the tax rate. Once all the decisions are finished, the final action is to direct staff to draft a budget ordinance for the board to adopt on June 3rd. So at this point, I want to demonstrate the workbook, and I'm asking Leiden if he would pull that up. And so here's our straw vote workbook. At the very top, you can see the total expenses, the final county dollar expenses, the fund balance that's allocated, and the tax rate. For demonstration purpose, Leiden, can you add $3 million to CPC operating? And you can see here the impact on the total expense, the impact on the county dollars, and the impact on the tax rate. So if you'll take that out. The workbook is broken into sections. The first section that we have is for education for CMS and CPC. After that, beginning on page 3, we have a section for the debt service, and then we have all the county services beginning on page 4. And then finally on page 18 of your packet, you have a list of all the things that are funded with fund balance. So Leiden, if you'll go back to the main tab, we're ready to begin whenever you're ready.
So just for clarification, Adrian,
When we get through each section, that's when we'll take the vote.
You will take a vote with each proposal to change it.
Only the proposal will change. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Can I just ask, could you do that demonstration again? Because it was a little fast for the change. And does it show the 0.97?
So what you see here is at the very top. Do you see the numbers that are in the green font? That $3 million increased the total expense by $3 million. It increased the county dollars by $3 million, and it requires an increase to the tax rate of 0.1 cent, bringing that to 49.3. Now, Lydon, if you'll take that out, now what you see is no change and the recommended tax rate of 49.27.
Okay. So nowhere do we see like the
0.96.
0.96?
We can calculate that, but the 2025 tax rate is 48.31, and the recommended rate is 49.27.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any other questions right now?
All right, would you like to begin with education?
Yes.
First section. Lydon, if you'll go to the education page. This is on, I believe this is page 2 of what you have in your packets. You have a budget for CMS and for CPC.
Are you making a motion to change something?
Let's see how it works.
Okay. So right now, you're looking for if anybody wants to change anything.
That's
So
correct.
just so colleagues understand what's happening, if someone is making a recommendation to make a change, let me know, and I'll recognize you. Commissioner Griffin.
On the capital maintenance, Adrian, can you take $10 million out of the recommended piece that gets us back to the 22, what happened in 2025, and see what that looks like?
So reducing the ongoing funding for capital maintenance by $10 million, is that?
Yeah, it gets it back to 2025 where it's 22,960.
We can do that if that's the place.
Oh, they have to get a vote on that?
Right.
Oh, okay, all right.
All right, so we'll take that
I
as a
gotcha.
motion. It does not require a second. And so but do we have to take a vote, and he's just asking to make so we could see the change?
That's what we'd prefer. We can demonstrate it.
Is it possible just to demonstrate something like that without us taking a vote?
There is. If you want to do a whole lot of changes, we'd prefer a vote so we don't get down the path of making a bunch of changes that don't have votes on them.
Okay,
So do you want to?
Well, we don't have to take a vote.
sure.
Yeah, we
All right, we'll move on then.
keep rolling,
We'll move on.
keep rolling.
Are there proposed changes to CMS or CPCC? Going once.
Mr. Chair, I move approval of CPCC and CMS.
All right, it's been moved. Is there any unreadiness? Commissioner Leek, 1 minute.
I thought you said you weren't going to time us.
No, I did say we were going to time. It'll be 1 minute.
My question, if it's in order, is the supplement for the teachers. Where is that?
So that is reference number 1, the $8,066,000.
That's for the teachers.
That's correct.
Can you say to me what it would come to by person? Is it by new teachers or senior teachers?
No, I can't tell you by person. The supplement is to increase the overall county supplement by 5%.
For everybody?
It's for teachers.
Just teachers?
That's my understanding.
And my next, to hurry up with my minutes, 1 minute. When you talk about certified teachers, and they're not teaching, but they're in an administrative position.
Finish the question, Commissioner Leek.
That's my question. They're certified as national certified teachers, but they're administrative branch of the school system.
So, Commissioner, you're correct. These are for certified positions.
Yes.
And so I don't know the split of how many certified positions may be doing some function in the classroom other than teaching. I don't know that split.
Thank you so much.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it.
Okay. The next section on page 3, this is the debt service fund, and this is a balanced fund funded with 11.3757 cents on the tax rate.
So, Mr. Chairman, do you need a motion to approve? Okay.
We don't need a motion to approve. We don't have to have a motion to
That's right.
approve. Right.
Let me know if you're ready to move on.
I'm not. I think we have 2 questions, one from Commissioner Rodriguez-McDowell, then Commissioner Powell. 1 minute.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On line item 15, I would like to make a motion that we change the wording to say land acquisition for ELAP.
Second.
All right, it's been
Hey, friends, bear with us as that is the feed that is coming from Mecklenburg County to us here in WCNC Live Impact Studio. Okay, let's do. All right, so we could see there, though, Harvard was starting their commencement ceremonies, and
For
looks like
ELAP,
they're back
and
in
it's
motion.
been
or should we
verbally
go to
stated,
Harvard?
but it isn't in writing.
Interesting with Harvard in the
So
in the headlines
it's not
if
for
they're going to
CMS,
address
it's
any
for
of the
ELAP.
national
Commissioner
drama
Powell.
that the Trump administration is trying to
exact same
remove
reasoning.
or take away $100 million
there
in
was
federal
verbal
funding
conversation
tied to
in our
Harvard.
meeting
That's
that
why
this is
we
intended
are
for
seeing
the
a lot of their
environmental leadership.
faculty and speak out, as well as students, but a lot of folks who are not in the country, in the U.S., also canceling their applications to apply for student visas. So having this bit of a ripple effect as we take a look right now at some faculty on stage and doing the formal meet and greet. Should we go back to Met County? All right, let's go dip it back into Met County. Once we see someone at Harvard speak at the podium, we'll bring that to you. But here we go with Mecklenburg County members, the commissioners there, meeting on this straw vote.
First say that. I mean, I think the intent was always that it be for open space, land acquisition for open space and parks. But what I will say, it doesn't, just because you name it that doesn't preclude the board in the future from changing that decision. I mean, it's not binding, so you can change it here, but in the future, if the board decides they want to go in a different direction, you can always vote to do something different.
Okay. All right, let's take this vote, guys. All those in favor, let's see by show of hands. All opposed? That's 5-4, Madam Clerk. Capture it.
Which one you won? I can't
Change.
see all the hands.
I'm sorry, 5-4 for the change to ELAP.
Thank you.
So it passed.
So it passed. Your motion passes, Commissioner.
All right.
Any other changes on this one? Okay. Ready to go, Adrian.
All right, so in the next section, that begins on page 4, these are all of the county services. And this section goes through the majority of the book to page 18. So from page 4 to page 17.
So we'll make sure everybody has time to go through these. So just take a few minutes to go through. It's a lot of pages.
And I'll say the last section that follows this in our workbook is just fund balance specific.
Right.
So, Mr. Chair, can I get an explanation for the reduction in children's services and adult services?
That's item 44, 41, and 44.
Yeah.
Adrian, will you speak to that, please?
Let me see if I can align that with the other reductions that we made.
I want to be sure. I want to be sure, but I thought that had something to do with the non-use of funds.
Right. So there is some reduction, and staff make sure if I'm not doing this correctly. There is a reduction for foster care support programs due to underutilization. This was $350,000. I believe that's what you're seeing there.
Okay.
Commissioner Rodriguez-McDowell.
I have a motion to make on page 8.
Page 8. Okay. Before we get to you, Commissioner, let me come back to you in just one second. Are there any other changes prior to page 8? Commissioner Altman.
Thank you. Actually, just a point of clarity. I'm looking for the key for the color coordination, and I might be missing it, but if it's not there, can you remind us what the different colors represent?
Yes, I can. So the red services refer to those services that the amount is restricted, so you have to fund it at a certain amount, and you actually have to do the program. The purple services refer to programs that you don't necessarily have to do, but if you do them, the amount is specific in the budget. There's very few of those, but those are things like if you have an economic development or something like that where you have got a specific amount that if you do it, you have to fund it. The blue, which makes up the majority of our services, refer to things that you have to do, but there's flexibility in terms of what amount you appropriate to those. And then the green is where you have the maximum amount of flexibility. You can choose not to do them or to do them, and the amount that you dedicate to those is flexible as well. So those are things like libraries and parks and that sort of thing.
Thank you.
Let me come back to Commissioner Rodriguez-McDowell. Which number were you addressing?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I actually have two items, and it's item number 123. So I have two motions. The first one is to add the $109,239 that was listed on our sheet as the court officials operating budget reduction. I spoke with Adrian earlier, and he said that a reference number 123 would probably be the proper place, but if it's not, they would be able to adjust it to put it under the right number. But that looks like the right one.
Right.
Okay, so it's a motion for $109,239 added back to the court officials operating budget reduction. And I'm making this motion because I believe that our courts are already extremely underfunded, and I think that we need to serve the people of Mecklenburg County in this area. The court delays and proceedings are terrible, and we just need to not be cutting in this area.
Okay. We've got a couple clarifying questions. No, you don't need a second on that. Commissioner Altman.
Thank you. And I think we'll be saying quite a lot this morning that everything the county funds, I believe deeply in. So anything that we cut is something that I have pangs about. But so the question is not, is it valuable? Is it needed? Because that's definitely true. But why, Madam Manager, did you make this recommendation? Can you explain that?
So this was related to the fine collection program, which
You are watching right now 2026 budget meeting for fiscal year 2026, a straw vote workshop being held in Uptown Charlotte with Mecklenburg County Commissioners. It does appear that that picture is frozen. That is that feed. But
Allow me to refresh. and
But
we'll get back
Carlene's
to it.
going to hook us up this morning at 9:32 on a Thursday morning, and this is sometimes what happens on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. That feed from outside sources comes in a little stop and go. We are back to the live pictures here, but a busy morning at that anyway. We had some breaking news out of Shelby because of a rig that ran into a hotel. And if you're not with us, or if you weren't with us about half an hour ago, our Destiny Richards showing us some live pictures. Go to the website, WCNC.com, if you need to get caught up, because there is some traffic affected there by the Cleveland Mall. Also, Harvard commencement begins this morning. We're sort of peeking in there as they are about to start their ceremony at Cambridge, Massachusetts. And also in Massachusetts, the Karen Reed retrial prosecution trying to rest its case here in week 6 of the Karen Reed retrial. But right now, for now, we'll take you back to the budget straw vote workshop for Mecklenburg County Commissioners live on Impact News.
Funding that is in the contract for each of those positions. So it was a duplication of funding.
Okay, let me go to Commissioner Townsend Ingram, please.
Okay, 2 questions.
I got you.
The revenue from that fine collection, does it go back to the state or does it come to Mecklenburg County?
It goes to the state. Fines and forfeitures have to be, all of the fines from the courts have to go to the state. They help to support the state's operation of the courts. A portion of what you pay when you go to the courts does help the county support the building of the courts, and some of it goes to the schools, which is the fines and forfeitures.
Second question is, do they have privy to reallocate those funds, or is it basically just what we designate?
They absolutely do have flexibility. A few years ago, because we were noticing that amount of turnback, we made sure that the courts knew that they could use these funds as they best needed. So that was to try to limit the amount of turnback funds.
Okay, then I support the motion.
Thank you. Let me go to Commissioner Leek, then I'm coming back to Commissioner Meyer.
Number 56.
Hold on one second, Commissioner Leek. We're on 123 first. I'll come back to you. Let's take care of this 123 first.
That'll be
and then we'll come
fine.
back to
That's good.
56. Commissioner Meyer.
Did you say $800,000 was turned back?
Yes.
And did you just say that they can do anything they want to do with that, but they turned it back anyway?
Yes.
That is the intent, yes. That's what we've tried to provide that flexibility.
Line up with the letter.
They couldn't.
Okay.
That doesn't.
So the only clarifying question that I have, let's just say, Madam Manager, that they wind up spending and needing more money. There's nothing that stops them from coming to the board saying, hey, can you help?
That's correct.
That's correct, right. So let's take this vote, guys. All those in favor, let's see by show of hands. All those in favor of the motion, let's see by show of hands. All those opposed, let's see by show of hands. So motion fails. That was 123. Commissioner Lee, give me 1 second, because there was
Yes.
another
That's
one
good.
tied to this that I think Commissioner Rodriguez-McDowell wanted to address.
Well, that was, I think we sort of, I mean, the 19605, we also discussed it
Okay.
in that. And so I guess
Okay.
that's also going to fail, so.
Okay.
Excuse me. So when you're stating the line item, if you could just state what that title is with the line item while I'm, thank you.
Okay. Do you want me to say that right now? or-
I looked up, but it's, I have to do that, so.
All right, thank you.
I appreciate it.
Thank you for that. Let me turn to Commissioner Leek.
56, Senior Citizens Nutrition Program. How was that cut back?
All right, that picture seems to be chugging along every now and then. So we're going to do a little refresh. And, I just want to take a picture. Okay, let's go back to the county manager now. It looks like Dina Diorio is speaking here on WCNC Plus.
A portion of it's being funded from a different source.
So if we don't get the federal funding, we won't have it.
Well, that's the true statement. We will have a reduction if we do not get that federal funding.
If we do not get the federal funding. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Adrian, this ended at what page?
So this ended, let me confirm, this ends on page 17. And beginning on page 18 is where we have just fund balance.
Fund balance, yeah. So let's take a few more minutes to go through the rest of the pages. Commissioner Meyer, did you have something?
What page did she say? Page.
I'm looking at Prospera. Are you going to handle that later?
I am going to handle that later.
17.
17 at the end. Did she call a number?
No, she was looking at 132, but that's going to be addressed later when we get to fund balance issues.
I do have a question.
Okay. Commissioner Meyer.
On 9, under number 145, for example, it says total recommendation is 275, but nothing from county. How?
She's going back to one.
So what you're seeing there is for the services, 141 through 146, these
All right, we're just going to break away from that budget workshop for now. We can get that feed lined up more reliably. We'll go to it because there are some other live events happening around the country, and one of it is the Harvard commencement. This is now underway. Folks are taking their seats. They have commentators. They appear to be maybe former faculty or current faculty. But anyway, we'll go to this feed and listen in here out of Cambridge, Massachusetts, the Harvard commencement, live on Impact News on WCNC Plus.
It's a really wonderful moment to leave Harvard Yard after the ceremony and hear chiming all across the city of Cambridge.
But then
going back
there's
to
the
start of
sheriff.
the ceremony. So
Talk
then,
about the sheriff.
Then there is a moment which I think we treasure.
We do.
There is a sheriff. Yes, Harvard
Yes, there is
invites
a
sheriff. He doesn't come in on a horse, folks.
He used to.
Did he used to come in on a horse?
he used to.
Yeah. What happened to the horse?
I guess they don't have horses anymore that they
Yeah.
take care of, so
From what I
no more
understand,
horses.
no one wanted to walk behind a horse. But in any case, that's probably a joke I shouldn't have made. But anyways, so
we tried to get through this without getting silly, didn't
without
we?
making
It
silly
wasn't
jokes,
going to
folks.
happen,
But
right?
actually, just to tell you about this moment, the sheriff of Middlesex County, the role of the sheriff in old days was actually to keep order, and I mean literally to keep order.
Right.
Harvard commencements in ancient days could be rowdy affairs, and the sheriff would actually be there for crowd control. But now, the sheriff, who I believe we're not seeing the sheriff here, I don't believe. But the sheriff of Middlesex County, we think this is the sheriff. I guess it is. I recognize him by his top hat.
Yeah.
And when that goes on, I'll know it for sure. But the sheriff will, after the bells have rung, the marshal of the university, Katie O'Dare, will say, "Pray, Mr. Sheriff, bring the meeting to order." And then the sheriff enters from stage right and is carrying a scepter. And as the sheriff walks, it thumps on the floor as the sheriff crosses the stage. Very dramatic. The audience noise swells. And no matter how many times you've seen this, you still can't help but love it. Finally, the sheriff comes to the center of the stage, turns upstage, doffs his hat to the president, to the various dignitaries on stage, and then comes to a microphone and pounds his his scepter 3 times.
I think you want to be the sheriff.
I think
yes,
it's a great
I think
gig.
you do. Yeah, you'd be great.
He pounds his scepter 3 times on the platform and then says, calls the meeting to order. But when you hear this today, he doesn't say, I call this meeting to order. He says it in a way that, well, only he can say it, so we'll let him say it. So it's a moment that's short on words, but very long on bombast. It's more...
Mr. Bombastic, Mr. Fantastic.
Yeah, it's true.
Right.
It's like, if you think about pomp and circumstance with commencements, this is the pomp part.
He's the pomp.
This is
Absolutely.
it. This is followed then by a prayer, an opening prayer, and the national anthem, which will be sung by a student, a graduating senior this year, Madison Webb. Another distinctive aspect of the commencement is the student orations, and there are 3 orations given.
Yep.
And this is a remarkable thing. These students, to be chosen to give an oration, and there's a Latin salutary, there's the undergraduate address, and the graduate address. To be chosen is quite a distinct honor. You have to be able to speak for several minutes without any notes. You have to have a message that is bigger than yourself, that actually really means something to people, that resonates in a way that will be lasting. And in order to receive this honor, you are judged by a panel of faculty who review your recitation.
It's very competitive.
Yeah, and they think about content, they think about delivery, they think about theatricality. So this is always a very special moment. My favorite moment is always the Latin oration. I don't speak Latin, but fortunately in the commencement program they have a translation, and there are always a lot of sort of in-jokes.
Yeah.
And I feel like I hear the voice of Cicero
exactly.
back in the day speaking. It's quite inspiring.
It is.
Yeah.
I mean, let's say this. Not everybody wants to try out to stand in front of 30,000 people and deliver an oration from memory. People self-select, for sure. But there are some wonderful moments, and the students really enjoy seeing their fellow students up there performing.
Absolutely. And in the Latin salutation, listen for the name of the undergraduate house that the student is in. Because at some point, you may not, as they say, the Latin may be Greek to you, but you'll understand it when they say Adam's house, and that part of the crowd cheers. So it's quite an extraordinary event. And I wonder if we could go to the yard now for some last shots. I'd love to just sort of look around and see what we have going here. And you can see that Tercentenary Theater
starting to fill
is starting to fill in.
Yep. The moment is close. Yeah.
Yeah. It is sort of like a herding process, isn't it?
Are we glad that the rain stopped and that we have nice weather?
Thrilled.
So important. You know, there's a saying, it never rains on Harvard commencement. Well, okay.
I remember one president whose name will not be said, who on the eve of commencement, though there was a forecast for rain, decreed that it never rains on Harvard commencement. And it was Noah-like, the kinds of rainfall that we had.
So much for Veritas.
So much for Veritas. And here we see the stage, people gathering. So what you're looking at here, folks, are members of the corporation and the Board of Overseers. Way
the
back.
United Ministry.
That's right.
And over, you can't see it on the screen, but if you're facing the stage, to the right will be the deans and the vice presidents and senior people. And on either side of the center stage will be the faculty.
And we had a moment ago a shot there of President Garber, although I think he was, President Garber's moving to his seat now, or attempting to. He's been such a wonderful leader for the university. Having had the chance to work for and very minimally with him, I could not admire him more.
There he is.
Yeah, there he is. Thank you, President Garber. And he's seated in the most comfortable seat in the Western Hemisphere, except for maybe all the other seats.
You know, traditions come and go. There have been changes along the way. One of them was that the president does not wear a headpiece anymore.
Yes.
Another is that Drew Faust did the thing that they said couldn't be done, which she increased the members of the corporation
A key thing.
from 6 to 13.
Yeah.
And people thought that that was impossible.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to figure out why this chair has lasted as long as it has. Do you think there'll be a president who'll finally say enough with the chair and it'll just go back into oblivion, or what?
I think the chair
I don't think we'll live that long.
I don't know. I think
Yeah.
the chair is here to
I
stay
think
for
it
a
is,
while.
too.
You know, but if they do get rid of it, I want dibs.
Well, it's quite distinctive, I
Yeah.
must say. It may not be
Yeah.
comfortable, but it certainly
Yeah.
its presence is known.
So I believe we are close to wrapping up, I understand.
Yes.
So I want to just say, and Jackie, first of all, what a pleasure to do this with you.
Always a pleasure.
Always a pleasure.
We have
Dear to
many
me.
happy memories we share
Absolutely,
together.
yeah. And to you, family, friends, everybody who loves these students.
And a special acknowledgement to Stephen Magro, the commencement coordinator, who
yeah.
puts his heart and soul into the commencement every year.
Absolutely.
It's
So
wonderful.
everybody, congratulations. Congratulations to the graduates. Bye-bye. Have a wonderful day. Harvard Commencement 2025.
Bye-bye, everyone. Enjoy.
All right, it looks like they're going to get the Harvard commencement started here shortly. Once that happens, we'll bring that to you. In the meantime, our reconstruction expert witness is taking the stand here once again in the Karen Reed retrial. He is on the witness stand as we speak. Let's go to that here live on Live Impact News on WCNC+.
What the original one shows, for example, to the left-hand side, compared to what the new one shows to the left-hand side, and it's angled more to the right.
Sir, you have experience with Ring cameras, correct?
I do.
And I think a lot of members of the public have experience with Ring cameras. You can move just the camera portion ever so slightly and change significantly the angle of the camera, can't you, what it captures? Just a small turn.
Potentially.
Right. Even a millimeter turn can make a change. A 2 millimeter, a 1 inch can make a significant change with regard to what the camera captures, correct?
Could, sure.
So, did you measure whether the newer camera that was present on October 2nd, 2024 was installed to the left? And I'm talking measure. To the right, to the top, or the bottom relative to the camera that was there on January 29th of 2022.
So we solved for the camera position.
I'm asking if you measured, sir.
Oh, no, we didn't measure.
So let's talk about some other differences with regard to cameras and Ring cameras. Different Ring cameras can have different levels of distortion, correct?
Potentially.
Cameras, well, are you saying that all Ring cameras have the same level of distortion?
No, but again, they're mass produced, so you could have some that have the same exact distortion. You could have some that have different.
And you don't know the comparative distortion between what I'm just going to now refer to as the old Ring camera that was there January 29, 2022, and the camera that you saw on October 2024, which I'll refer to the new camera. You don't know the difference in the distortion between those cameras as you sit here today, do you?
So we know enough information that if the distortions had been different, our errors would have been too high. And so the fact that our errors are within acceptable, or what's called an RMS error, we know that the distortions are similar enough to give us accurate measurements.
Sir, that is speculation. That is not data. That is not a measurement. You didn't measure the distortion, sir, did you? If the cameras, you didn't have the old camera to do it.
We didn't, but we had images from the old camera, and then when we get images from the new camera and solve those camera properties and then overlay data from the old images to the new images with the point clouds, if that distortion is too great, we will have too high of errors in our project, which is why I showed the error report from the photogrammetry process to show that we have checked for that and documented that our errors are in acceptable range so that we have confidence in our results.
You do not have information from the manufacturer of Ring you didn't present it, and you don't have it, as to what is the acceptable level of distortion for the analysis that you did, do you, sir?
The
You have that from Ring.
I don't have it for Ring, but I don't need it from Ring.
So now let's go to, if cameras have different levels of distortion, that would change the analysis in reconciling the difference between their angles. That's a pretty straightforward proposition, sir, wouldn't it?
So it depends on how much difference it is, but we have accounted for that.
With which model of the Ring camera was present at One Meadows on January 29, 2022? Which model?
I don't know. I'd have to go look through the data.
Do you believe you, I'm not going to take up the time to have you look, but do you really believe you've got the model of the Ring camera that was in existence on January 29th of 2022?
I don't know. I
You
need to
didn't
look
present
through
it
the
in your direct testimony, did you, sir?
I did not.
So do you have the model of the Ring camera that was present at One Meadows on October 2nd, 2024?
No.
So you don't have even the model for either one of them?
Nope, but we have videos from both of them and scans of the scene.
So now let's talk about another aspect of Ring cameras. They have mechanisms, as I was talking about earlier, that allow the user to adjust the camera angle, correct?
Correct.
And do you know whether there was a difference in the camera angle between the two cameras?
Yes, as we already discussed, there was a slight difference in the
But
angles.
you don't have a measurement of that, right, sir?
Correct.
Okay.
But we accounted for it.
So wouldn't a difference in models of Ring cameras be relevant at all to your analysis of trying to reconcile any differences between them?
So if you have video from both of them and you have laser scans with three-dimensional geometry of the scene, you can go in, and it's called a reverse camera analysis, and solve for the distortion properties. The scans give you the real-world dimensions. So once you know the real-world dimensions, you can then go in, you can go in and then solve for the camera lens properties based upon the real-world distortions. So for example, if there's a little bit of bending at the end, the laser scan data will show that, and you can correct for that knowing information about the laser scanner.
I'll ask
the laser scan data.
I'm sorry, I thought you finished, sir. I'm going to ask the question again because it's a narrow question. Wouldn't knowing the difference in the models be relevant? That's all I'm asking. Wouldn't it be relevant to your analysis of reconciling the differences to them? Wouldn't it be relevant?
No.
So you think the different models are irrelevant to any process you occasioned at one? It's irrelevant.
So the analysis of the video itself is more important than the models?
I'm not asking if it's more important. I'm just asking, would it be relevant?
No, I don't believe it'd be relevant.
Now let's go to another aspect of the cameras. Are key parameters in a camera that the software needs to know focal length?
It is.
Is imaging size something that is an important parameter in a camera?
Yes.
Are sampling characteristics an important parameter in cameras?
Can be.
Is the principal point, you understand that concept, sir? Is that an important parameter in a camera?
Define how you're using principal point.
Sure. A principal point of an image is the point where a camera's direct line of sight, called, as you may know, the optical axis, intersects the image plane. Does that sound familiar?
Mm-hmm.
So isn't that the image's mathematical center, the principal point?
More or less, yes.
And for high accuracy photogrammetric work, it's important to know if the lens is mounted centered over the image sensor due to the small manufacturing variances, correct?
Could be important.
And if the principal point is the center of the image. That's relevant. So doesn't that affect the mathematical calculation of the light ray geometry?
It could.
So the variance in manufacturing between cameras is a known issue. Do you agree?
I do.
There's small manufacturing variances that affect one of the key components of the fundamental parameters of the camera, namely the principal point, right?
Correct.
Did you perform the camera calibration of the camera in place in October of 2024?
Yes, so within photogrammetry, we calibrated the photogrammetric analysis to the camera.
Did you address the principal point in that calibration? Do you have documentation that you addressed that important factor, the principal point?
So the checking of the RMS error in the software takes into account, sums up all the potential errors in the measurement, which would include that.
Okay. Sir, you know the importance of all of these topics because the output of all the work Aperture did at One Meadows, almost all of it, springs from that camera, correct?
It starts there.
Okay, it starts there. And if the starting point is wrong, then where you go from the starting point is going to be at least potentially wrong, correct?
Potentially.
Would you agree that Ring cameras have a swiveling mechanism so that the user can adjust the camera angle?
Some do.
Do you know whether the camera that was in existence on January 29, 2022 had a swiveling mechanism?
I believe it did.
Believe? Do you know?
I do not know for a fact, but those style of Ring cameras on the surveillance have adjustability that includes angle.
But you don't know whether the camera that was there, the specific camera on January 29, 2022, had a swiveling mechanism or not, correct?
Correct.
And do you know whether the camera that you saw in October of 2024 had a swiveling mechanism on it?
It did.
And where did you document the fact that it had a swiveling mechanism?
I think we have photos of the camera.
Did you document it in writing, and did you document the tolerance of the swiveling mechanism?
No.
Let's go to, and again, all of the camera, this camera that you use is the starting point for your laser scan and photogrammetry process, correct?
Correct.
All right. Let's go to another topic. On your direct testimony, as I recall, you stated essentially from various information that you lined up in the video, and we're talking about the lining up of the Lexus with the Traverse. And this is at One Meadows. And so, as I understand what you did, sir, is you took what are called point clouds, 3D images, created them for the Lexus. You took created 3D images, synonym point clouds, of the Traverse, and then you attempted to line them up to determine, among other things, whether they would align sufficient so that the Lexus could line up and potentially hit the...
You are watching Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. It is 10 o'clock. I'm Jane Monreal. Thank you for downloading the WCNC app to your Roku TV or Fire TV. Want to bring you some an announcement, developing news here on Live Impact News, as we are hearing that Boone has chosen their next police chief of the police department. It is Daniel Duckworth, and during yesterday's town hall council meeting, they announced that Daniel Duckworth has been selected as the new chief of police for the Boone Police Department. He's been serving as interim police chief since the beginning of the year, since January 1st, following the retirement of former chief Andy LeBeau. But now he has officially been announced as the the next police chief of the Boone Police Department. We congratulate him. That's a lovely picture of the new chief, Chief Daniel Duckworth, out there in Boone. All right, we'll take you back out here now, back into the studio on Live Impact News. It looks like the Harvard commencement is underway out of Cambridge, Massachusetts. The president of the university just walking up to the podium here. Let's take you out there live now on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus.
Live from down the street, across the country, and around the world. Around the world, just as it should be. I see you this morning not as groups of graduates separated by school, but as one Harvard, a community bound by the shared sense, the shared cause of seeking knowledge, of acquiring wisdom, and of serving society. A community composed of remarkable individuals who take their chances rather than rest on their laurels. We gather today to acknowledge your achievements and to celebrate your excellence. Here, among beloved colleagues and mentors, and distinguished and dedicated faculty and staff, you have learned to consider curiosity, a state in which to live, open always to the ever-present possibility of personal growth. I implore you to hold fast to that lesson after your degrees are conferred today. The world as it is tempts us with the lure of what one might generously call comfortable thinking, a habit of mind that readily convinces us of the merits of our own assumptions, the veracity of our own arguments, and the soundness of our own opinions, positions, and perspectives. So committed to our beliefs that we seek information that confirms them as we discredit evidence that refutes them. Though many would be loath to admit it, absolute certainty and willful ignorance are two sides of the same coin, a coin with no value, but costs beyond measure. False conviction saps true potential. Focused on satisfying a deep desire to be right, we can willingly lose that which is so often gained from being wrong. Humility, empathy, generosity, insight, squandering opportunities to expand our thinking and to change our minds in the process. My hope for you, members of the class of 2025, is that you stay comfortable being uncomfortable, starting with the folding chairs on which you sit right now. Ambition eschews comfort. If, in some near or distant future, you find yourself feeling as if you have it all figured out, as if you know enough to kick up your feet and lean back in your seat, recall this day and your chairs, and just how much you have to gain from living your life in a state of curiosity and welcoming ideas, both familiar and unfamiliar, with your arms outstretched and your minds open. You are the hope of this institution embodied. Living proof that our mission changes not only the lives of individuals, but also the trajectories of the communities that you will join, serve, and lead. May you carry the best of what Harvard is and does into the world that awaits you. May you chart a path for others to follow as you choose your own. And may your many destinations bring you joy, satisfaction, and peace. Your journey will not always be clear, and it will surely be full of unexpected turns. But fortified by openness and curiosity, by what you have learned here, and by the many connections you have made and will make, you will bring honor to yourself, your family, and your alma mater. Thank you, and congratulations.
And that is the president of Harvard University delivering some initial remarks for the graduates in class of 2025 as their commencement ceremony now underway out of Cambridge, Massachusetts. We, last week, if you know, the two embassy staffers for the Israeli embassy staff were shot outside the Capitol Jewish Museum out of Washington, D.C. They have reopened this morning and holding a special ceremony and press conference here. So I want to take you out for comments out live now. Back to D.C. for Live Impact News.
Sadness and search for meaning in the face of such reckless violence. We recognize the shock and grief that has rippled through our community, and we want to extend our deepest condolences to the families and loved ones of Yaron and Sarah. And yet, even in this darkness, we must also find strength. Today, as we mourn, we also gather to reaffirm the unwavering commitment of the Capitol Jewish Museum to its founding mission, to preserve history, to foster understanding, and to build bridges with diverse communities that make up our community. This commitment is now more important than ever. Our newly opened exhibit, LGBT Jews in the Federal City, reflects that commitment. As the board president and on behalf of the board of directors, I want to state unequivocally that we will not be deterred from this vital work. Last week's senseless act of violence, violent anti-Semitism, sought to sow division and fear. But we, the Capitol Jewish Museum, represent a celebration of Judaism and a testament to the power of unity. Our celebration of Judaism and all it has contributed to society is perhaps the best antidote to anti-Semitism. Today's reopening is not simply a return to normal. It is an act of resilience. It is a declaration that we will not allow hate to silence our voices or diminish our commitment to building a better future. The memory of Yaron and Sarah will not be a cause for retreat, but rather a powerful inspiration to redouble our efforts. Their dedication to peace will fuel our resolve. Therefore, on behalf of the Board of Directors, I want to announce that we dedicate our future work to the enduring memory of Yaron Lashinsky and Sarah Milgram. In the days, weeks, and months ahead, we will continue to process this tragedy and to heal as a community. We invite you to join us in this journey. Let us honor the memory of Yaron and Sarah by recommitting ourselves to the values they held dear, values of peace, understanding, and the unwavering belief in our shared humanity. I want to acknowledge and thank Councilmember Allen for being with us and for Police Chief Smith. And I especially want to thank Mayor Muriel Bowser for not only being with us, but offering to speak to us today. Mayor Bowser has been a stalwart supporter of the museum from the very beginning, was here at our opening. And in the face of this tragedy from that very evening and with the press conference, has offered words of comfort and support and resolve. And so, Mayor, thank you very much for being here.
Good morning. I want to thank the entire staff here at the Capitol Jewish Museum for bringing us together. I also want to thank them for the work that they have done over the last week with their own staff, who I'm quite sure has been traumatized. Their work with the city and their neighbors to get to this day. I also want to thank the entire board, the small family who had a vision for celebrating not only the American Jew, but the Washingtonian Jew. And I was very captivated by that vision that they would invest and saw the value of making sure that the Jewish experience in Washington was acknowledged, celebrated, and never forgotten. A week ago, the chief called me, and she told me that she was responding to the scene of a heinous crime, an unbelievable tragedy. In an instant, a young couple had their lives cut short. 2 families were left devastated. And the fear and grief, of course, has transcended the entire Jewish community, our entire city, and the world. I want to thank our faith community here in Washington for coming together in D.C. As, unfortunately, we have practiced. We have practiced because we have had to respond to other incidents of hate, anti-Semitism, and the fear that it causes in our city. The morning after the shooting, 180 faith leaders and community leaders joined a call to offer prayers and to stand shoulder to shoulder in solidarity with our Jewish community. I believe strongly, and I've said often, it is not up to the Jewish community to say support us. It is up to all of us to denounce anti-Semitism in all forms. I see so many leaders gathered here today, and I want to thank you for your support. I want to thank you for your good ideas and our own declaration to continue to work together. This is the first and only museum focused on local Jewish history and the culture in our city. In 3 years, and after 3 prior moves, we were proud to bring the historic Addis Israel Synagogue to be a part of the site and to be a part of the teaching of history of Judaism in D.C. I was heartened last week when I stood with the United States Attorney for D.C. in talking about our investigation with the FBI and our march towards justice in this case. But what struck me in Judge Pirro's remarks was her knowledge about this museum and about Addis. And it made me feel good that the small family and this whole community came together to make sure that that history was preserved here. We know that one of the goals of the museum is to inspire visitors to think about our own place in history, and each day we all have a choice about how we show up. For people of faith, we make choices every day about how we live our faith out loud and how we seek a more just world. So one of my messages to our community here in D.C. is for people of all faiths to keep showing up for the Jewish community and to keep showing up for the Capitol Jewish Museum. Spaces like this that teach us history, that allow us to connect, inspire, reflect, people coming together of all backgrounds, faiths, ages, coming from different places in the world and different places in the city, can talk about important ideas and ways that we move together for a better collective future. That's part of why my administration has been committed to providing grants to institutions like this one, and we will stay focused. Unfortunately, that work is not done. And how we continue to provide that support going forward. While I am saddened by the circumstances, outraged actually, that bring us together today, I am grateful to look around and see the values of our city represented here and the resiliency that we heard described in getting open. So it sounds like, you know, part of my charge to my team in every difficult circumstance is that we have to get open. We have to get open. We have to get back to normal. We have to allow people to come to work. We have to allow people to grieve. We have to allow people to talk. And we have to live our missions. So thank you for getting open.
It's an honor to be up here with my colleagues and to be with all of you here today as one of the senior clergy at Addis Israel. It is a gift to be, as the mayor said, reopening the doors of this important museum. The psalmist says in Psalm 147, Harofei lishvorei lev, hamechabesh li'atzvotam, healer of the brokenhearted, binder of our wounds, be with us in our anguish. Help us to transform the darkness to light. 1 week ago, anti-Semitic rage took two of the brightest lights from us, Sarah and Yaron. Sarah, a lover of nature, of animals, committed to peace, diplomacy, building bridges, and seeking to cultivate empathy in the world. And her beloved, Yaron, born in Israel, knowing at a young age that he wanted to be a diplomat, a master of languages with a deep desire to build bridges across cultures. They were beloved to their families, to their friends, to their community, and each of them is a world that was taken from us. So how do we transition from this tragedy to reopening the doors of this museum today, to the staff, to the board, to the security team of this awesome museum? This reopening is exactly what our city, our country, and our world needs, to keep telling our stories. Who we are as a people, to have us be known, what our values are, what we are to the city, what we contribute, and the intricacies of what make us who we are, not only so that we don't shrink from fear, but also because it is the path to better understanding each other. Hafachta mispidi lemacholi, petachti saki v'tazreinu simcha. Through our storytelling, may we turn our lament into building bridges and once again to finding joy. Amen.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. We always begin in Almighty God's name. We call upon Almighty God, the merciful, the wise, the most high possessor of greatness. We're talking about the same God for all of us, who created us all from the wombs of our mothers and cares for us all equally, just like a mother. We humbly today, we ask for God's divine benevolence on all of those gathered here for this reopening. A very wonderful moment for us in history as we are seeing the human resolve continue to move forth after it's been closed from the devastating shooting and killing of a young man and a young woman, and even more so than that, 2 members of the human family. Yes. Not just the Jewish community and the DC community, but the human family. So we offer our deep condolences to all the families of those innocent lives taken, and also those that were shaken and are left void as we're here today. May they find comfort in God's presence and promise. Our prophet taught us, and he lived, that we are never to take the life of the innocent, not even the life of a combatant prisoner, so certainly not the life of an innocent non-combatant. And God reminds us in our scripture that to kill a single life unjustly is as though you've killed the whole of humanity. This enormous value and sacredness of human life should be caution enough to prevent cruel, senseless, inhumane acts of violence and killings. Understand that it doesn't matter who an attacker or attackers are or what they claim. Their actions are criminal, inhumane, and not condoned in neither Islam, Christianity, Judaism, or other beautiful faith communities. Any person, no matter how desperate their situation, no matter how much their hearts are paining because of real or perceived wrong that has been done to them.
I want to bring you some breaking news right now. This is out of Raleigh, and it looks like Ben Crump, very active civil rights attorney, in this rally being held after the DA failed to charge an NC, North Carolina trooper in the death of Tyrone Mason. Let's listen in here live on Impact News.
Tried to cover up the killing of Tyrone Mason.
Come on.
The investigator didn't know what they were facing.
Come on.
When they tried to cover up the killing of Tyrone Mason. Lauren Freeman, the DA, didn't know what she was facing when they tried to cover up the killing of Tyrone Mason. The county and Raleigh community, they didn't know what they were facing when they tried to cover up the killing of Tyrone Mason. The state of North Carolina, they didn't know what they were facing when they tried to cover up the killing of Tyrone Mason. And anybody, Ms. Mason, I want you to stand a little closer. Y'all, let's get a little closer. We need them to know that she's not by herself.
That's right, man. That's right.
And they had no idea what they were facing when they tried to cover up the killing of her son, Tyrone Mason. That's right. That's right. But today, they gonna know.
We here now.
The world gonna know.
We here now.
Yeah. The lawsuit that Attorney Sellers, Attorney Blakegrove, and others that have been filed makes it painstakingly clear of what they're facing. And they're not going to be able to get away with it. I mean, in the lawsuit, we make the case. And we make it plain. As they say in the Baptist church, Senator, we make it plain. You got a video of the officer lying through his teeth. Ashamed before God. And not only is he lying, but he's conspiring. They are conspiring to cover up the crime. They conspire and say, you know, I was chasing them. His supervisor say, well, you don't want to admit that. And so the conspiracy is not only what we see with our eyes, but it's what we hear with our ears.
That's it. That's it.
I mean, it's rare that you get to witness a conspiracy where you have visual evidence, you have audio evidence, you have ocular proof.
Come on.
And we see this. And as Attorney Sellers said, when he and Miss Mason met with the district attorney with all of this plethora of evidence. I mean, Don, I think about the times they arrest black people.
All right.
With no evidence at all.
Nothing.
On the innuendo.
That's it.
Somebody said you fit the description.
Yeah.
But now you got the visual evidence in your hand, and you refuse to file charges against the killer cops.
That's right. Come on, killer cops.
And so it's troubling on so many levels because it doesn't add up. You tell Attorney Sellers and Miss Freeman and her sister, you say to them, well, we know he lied. We all saw that on the video, but about 30, 45 minutes later, he told the truth. And because he's a great lawyer, he said, oh, good, let me see the video. And they said, oh, well, it's not on video, but he told us. So we just gonna take his word. So let me get this straight.
The same word.
You're gonna take the word of a liar.
Come on.
The person you knew just lied. You don't got no evidence of what he's saying now, but you're gonna take his word. Even though you said, I'm going to drop almost 200 cases because we can't rely, the public, the citizens of this county can't rely on his words, but I can take his word because he said it. He said it. Because he said it. He said that I told people the truth after I lied. You said, okay, Miss Mason, now he's telling the truth. We know he lied the first time, but now he's telling the truth. How do you know that? Oh, because he told me. And you tell this broken-hearted mother, with all the authority vested in you by the citizens of Wake County in this district, you tell her you're going to take the word of a documented liar and not charge him for the ill-advised chase and the failure to render aid and the conspiracy to cover up
My God.
the death of her son. I don't ever profess to be the smartest guy in the room, but that logic just ain't logical.
Makes her lie too.
Come on.
Think about that. In what world is that logical to any person with a halfway educated mind? I mean, I'm just saying, y'all. I'm just saying. You have it on video, District Attorney Freeman. You got it on video. I mean, we always believed that if we had it on video, where they could see it and hear it, that black people would have a chance at equal justice.
Come on.
For decades, Bakari, way before George Floyd, way before Ahmaud Arbery, black people would say, the police are brutalizing us. The police are using excessive force against us. The police are lying on us. And nobody would believe us because it was your word against the police officer's word. But now that we have video, we believed if we gave the prosecutors uncontroverted evidence that at least we would have a chance at equal justice under the law. Yes. But what District Attorney Freeman is telling this family and what she's telling this community, she's slapping us in our face. Because she's saying, I don't care what evidence you have. It doesn't matter. I'm still going to take the cop's word over whatever evidence you have. And what we say to her is, it's bigger than you, Lauren Freeman, because your investigations don't add up. And you don't need to say no more. Just look at the video.
That's right.
Don't say no more. Look at the video. 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 And that's our case. Justice for Tyrone Mason. Justice for Tyrone Mason. Justice for Tyrone Mason.
Justice for Tyrone Mason.
And I'm so sorry, Miss Mason, that you have to go through all of this just to get simple justice. We ain't asking for nothing extraordinary. We ain't asking for nothing different or special. We just asking for simple justice. Can you imagine if this was your child?
My God.
Could you imagine if this was Lauren Freeman's child?
Come on. Come on. Right.
Could you imagine if this was Raleigh Mayor's child?
That's right.
Well, she is a citizen just like any of them, deserving equal dignity and respect as an American citizen.
Yes.
Why are the rules different for Henrietta Mason than it is for you, Lauren Freeman? Why? So she's going to bear her heart to you. Attorney Sellers and I, we tried to make the case as much as we can, but there's nothing we can say that is more profound than what you're going to hear from Tyrone Mason's mother, the woman who all on her own was able to get to the truth.
That's right.
Yeah.
Before she got the brilliant Bakari and the other local councils, she was by herself.
That's right.
Yeah.
Fighting against the system, fighting against what is in this case just a cesspool of corruption.
Say that.
And she took it on all on her own. And she thought she had got to where she was going to get some justice. But yet she's fighting on. And after you hear from her, Bakari and I, every now and then, as good as we think we are, we need the brilliance of a black woman who is in the bar to come and help us fight the fight. And there's nobody better than Don Blagrove who's going to come up after Miss Mason. So, unlike us lawyers, she didn't ask for this.
That's right.
She didn't go to school. She's not educated. She didn't do moot court. She's just going to speak to you from her heart. This broken-hearted mother. Y'all give it up and let's stand with her even when the cameras go away.
That's right.
For Miss Henrietta Mason.
Say what you want, baby.
My name is Henrietta Mason. I'm the mother of Tyrone Mason. Oh, I'm good.
Okay, they want to hear you.
I'm just want to address Lauren Freeman. Miss Freeman, from the beginning, I had no support, no kind of help, no belief that when I said my gut said something is wrong with this accident, for no one to even look and believe anything that I said. Investigator Spalding, I asked you, could you please just check into the state trooper for me? Could you just look, if he's not involved, that's good. Could you look for me? Because I believe in my heart that he's involved. No, she said, no, we can't just investigate a state trooper because of what you feel.
Talk about it.
She said, we don't have any witness, we don't have any evidence that he's involved. Lo and behold, God sends a witness my way.
Come on.
And the witness didn't want to talk with me. He didn't want to be involved like that, but he was calling out to me to let me know that he heard the horrible chase. His exact words was that he heard the acceleration of my son, acceleration of the state trooper. When my son hit that bridge, he said it sounded like a house blowed up, but immediately when my son hit the state trooper siren, boop, off. Turned him off immediately.
Wow.
So for them to sit here and say, oh, he don't want to be involved in an investigation, sir, you're involved in a whole crime, sir.
That part.
You literally ran my baby down, and then you turned your back and went home to your family.
Talk about it.
While I'm there grieving my baby.
Talk about
Like,
it.
no respect. Lauren Freeman, you told me. And to my face, I had to come to you, Lauren Freeman, 2 days after you dismissed all them cases. I had to come to you. You didn't call me to let me know nothing in advance on what was going on. Like you ignored my feelings and who I am. You told the world that you got a hunch. The hunch was his mother. Like, tell the world, his mother.
Yeah.
His mother didn't believe them.
Amen.
His mother fought for him.
Yes, ma'am.
Not you had a hunch from no investigation.
Yes, ma'am.
And I'm very upset, Miss Freeman. You told me to my face you was on my side. You told me you was on my side. But no, you on the side of the state troopers. The men that lied. And if they did this to my baby, I mean the other babies that they did this, that we're unaware of. We're unaware of.
Yeah.
Like, we call for justice for my baby. And we're never going to stop until we get justice.
That's right. Justice for Tyrone Mason.
Justice for Tyrone Mason.
Justice for Tyrone Mason. Justice for Tyrone Mason.
You done. All right, you got me over here crying.
Yeah. Wow. Thank God.
Wow. Go ahead, Don.
Wow.
We got Sean Cecil coming up too, integral part of the team. Helped us get that video. Give Sean a round of applause.
Morning, everybody.
Go ahead, Don.
Again, my name is Attorney Dawn Blagrove. I am the Executive Director of Emancipate NC. James Baldwin, one of my favorite authors,
Amen.
has been quoted as saying, "I can't believe what you say because I see what you do."
Come on. That part.
I can't believe what you say because I see what you do. That statement has never been more appropriate than as it relates to District Attorney Lauren Freeman and the Wake County District Attorney's Office writ large. Henrietta Mason stood here and told you that Lauren Freeman said to her, "I am with you. I believe you. I will help you get the justice you deserve, get the justice your son deserves." District Attorney Freeman said to this community, these officers are liars. They are untrustworthy. They are unworthy.
Yes, ma'am.
To serve this community. And then she dismissed 180 cases.
My Lord.
Because the truthfulness, the credibility of the arresting officer was so damaged that she could not, in good faith, present legal cases based on their words.
That part.
These are the things that she said. Now let's talk about what she did.
Come on. Come on, talk about it.
What did she do?
What did she do?
Nothing.
Nothing. Lies. Come on.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah.
She used the power that was invested in her by the people of Wake County to sweep a miscarriage of justice under the rug.
Come on.
She took the power that we gave her to protect and defend the indefensible. Tyrone Mason maybe could be alive. Maybe could be here to tell you his story. And we'll never know. Because the trooper that ran him and chased him into a bridge did nothing to render aid in those crucial seconds after the accident.
Cover himself.
My God.
Instead, what he did was call his superior officer because he knew he was in trouble.
Come on. Yeah.
And his superior officer, we can hear on the video, confirms his belief. Yes, you have screwed up.
Yep. Are you kidding me?
And then together, they colluded
That's
to
it.
figure out how to cover it up.
Cover it up. My Lord.
They didn't miss a beat. They didn't stop, not even for a second, to consider what was right.
That part.
They did what they needed to do to protect themselves in that moment.
Yep. Yep.
And I also want to highlight one thing. We caught this on camera, but that is truly by the grace of God. Because as you watch this video, it is clear that trooper thought he had turned off his camera.
Oh my
That part.
He believed his camera was off.
Come on.
Emancipate NC. Save Our Sons. Raleigh Pact. Advance Carolina. These are all organizations who have been fighting to tell this story in Raleigh, who have been fighting for accountability from law enforcement, who have been fighting to get Lauren Freeman to do her job,
That's it.
who have been fighting for the lives of all black folks that are under the police control of a lawless law enforcement agency like Raleigh Wake.
Wow.
2014 in Charlotte.
Wow.
Lauren Freeman has had opportunity after opportunity after opportunity to create accountability for law enforcement in this county. And every single time, she has failed us.
My Lord.
It is her job to keep this community safe. That is why we elected her.
Come on. Right.
But she doesn't do that. She seems to believe that her job is to keep law enforcement safe, to protect them from justice, to protect them when they cause harm to our communities. Now, Lauren Freeman has announced that she is not running again for office.
He shouldn't.
So why don't you bring these?
So thank you. Thank you to everyone who has stood with us over the years to push her out, to make her tired, to wear her down, to make it harder for her to do the wrong thing than it is to do the right thing.
Come on.
But in her place, she would have us believe that the person that we should trust with accountability over law enforcement is Sharita Walton, who currently serves as the lawyer for the Raleigh Police Department.
Oh. Wow.
People of Wake County, we deserve better.
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 Black folks in Raleigh deserve to not live in occupied communities. They deserve not to be over-policed.
That's it.
And they deserve a district attorney and a community that loves and respects the sanctity of black lives.
That's right. Come on.
We don't have that now, not in Lauren Freeman. We will not get that from Sharita Walton.
Wow.
But we deserve it.
Yes.
Miss Mason deserves it.
Yes, she does.
The Mason family deserves it. This community deserves to be free of the terrorization of law enforcement.
Yes, ma'am.
So I will start like I will finish like I started.
Yes, ma'am.
I cannot believe what you say because I see what you do.
Amen.
Come on. Come on.
Thank you.
Senator Murdoch. After Senator Murdoch speaks, we'll take a few questions. I wanted to wrap up by 45. We're running a little over. but we'll take a few questions after Senator Murdoch speaks.
Good morning. My name is Natalie Murdoch, honored to serve in the North Carolina State Senate, representing South Durham and all of Chatham County. And earlier when they were recounting issues we've had nationally, but even right here in North Carolina, even visited Elizabeth City after that killing. And actually Attorney Sellers, I remember seeing him at the service, Attorney Crump. We just thank you for your continued work nationwide, because he didn't have to be here. So who would I be as an elected official in North Carolina to not stand with the Mason family when we have these nationally renowned attorneys who have dedicated their life to getting justice, specifically justice for black people. Getting justice for black people. Tyrone Mason's life had value.
Yes.
His life had value. We can't simply sweep things under the rug and keep it moving. We need a thorough investigation. Questions have to be answered. This poor mother.
We're going to break away from that live press conference and rally out of Raleigh, North Carolina, where you heard from civil rights attorney Ben Crump, as well as the mother of Tyrone Mason, whose son, Tyrone, died following a crash, a chase and a crash back in 2024. The two troopers involved, new body cam video revealing that they had lied to their supervisor shortly after the crash. And the attorneys and family now questioning the DA's office for Wake County because of all of the fallout. Those two troopers are now not being charged. All right, here coming up 10:47, we have to talk about weather already because we are coming off some cloudy days and now a little bit more humid in the air. Chris Mulcahy is now in the Live Impact studio. And looking ahead, Chris, we're looking at some weather alert weather.
Yeah, and
that
it's
we're going to have to be aware of, right?
Specifically tomorrow, but we'll bring up our Dallas camera. It's still cloudy, but you nailed it. It is also super muggy out there. This, what you're actually looking at, is literally our heads in the clouds. So this is 1,450 feet up. What's really interesting is we had some patchy, dense fog in the morning. Fog is just a ground cloud, and when that ground cloud is heated up, it rises up. So we're actually seeing the process of fog burning off. The problem is we have levels on levels of that cloud cover that's really tough to overcome. So as you're seeing over here in Louisville and Anson County, you're dealing with some pretty thick clouds just overall. So I just want to kind of temper people's expectations as far as the sunshine goes. You might see a little bit here and there, but it all in all is just going to be maybe a brighter white, or maybe you see a few spots of blue sky, but the clouds are definitely going to dominate. And as you can see, our visibilities have vastly improved from the foggy start that some of us had. Now, I want to talk about two windows. Now, today, everything's in blue, so this is just something that could impact you later on today. From 3 to 9 is your best chance for a thunderstorm today, but realistically, I think that our best chance for rain is anywhere between about 8 to midnight, and heavy rain and lightning is going to be possible during this window as we have this set up. So what you have here for this version of this future cast, I'm looking at a chance for showers starting to flourish, but notice this yellow line that I drew here. It's really southeast of this line that we're going to have the better conditions, because notice how rain is a little bit more widespread. So if you're watching from the mountains, the foothills, you're seeing rain for a longer period of time. When it rains, it gets cooler. That stabilizes the atmosphere. Where you don't have the rain, that's where you can have a pop-up shower or storm, because we have a nearby front that could do this. So notice by about 4 o'clock, you see one right around Salisbury, around Southern Pines, southwest of Raleigh, one that is just south of Chesterfield County. Those are isolated storms, but I think the best chance is really starting to flourish right around the Charlotte area by the close of that window I was talking about. Outside of that, I think we're just dealing with rain. Notice how the rain becomes a little bit more widespread as we work our way through the evening, and then we get ready for round 2. This is the main event. This is why I'm here. Talk about your weather alert day, where the when, the impact, and the need. We call it our win strategy. You need to be weather alert between about 2 p.m. and 8 p.m. But I think you can really put it right in the middle. I think it's close to 4 o'clock that's going to be the better impacts for the Charlotte area, even 2 to 4, I think. The gusty winds and the hail are numbers 1 and 2 as far as our threats go, so you just need to stay weather aware throughout the day. We, of course, are going to be live streaming on WCNC Plus, which you're watching right now. So just what you're doing today,
Stay here.
Just do it later on today. Yeah, don't leave.
Just keep your TV
Just keep
on.
it on the whole time. That's what we want.
Yes.
Well, here's a breakdown. You're always going to see from the Storm Prediction Center different chances and levels of maybe it's a low or a medium or high risk for the severe weather. Well, often within days 1 and 2, you can break that down into your tornado threat, your large hail threat, and your damaging wind threat. You can see that I put a weather alert icon for the highest threat, that's damaging winds. We're only going to see large hail if we have an isolated supercell, that's one that's going to spin. And then our tornado threat is fairly low. But I'm never going to discount even a near zero tornado threat because I think you will have enough for a spin to the atmosphere. Here's the reason why. Let's raise your weather IQ. What you're looking at right now is a mid-latitude cyclone. That simply is a cold front that's attached to a low-pressure system and a warm front. Right underneath that guy, that's where you have some serious wind shifts. And this wind shift is not just at the surface, it's actually at different levels. So first off, we're more humid because we're cranking winds out of the south because of that front. That's dragging in moisture. But then meanwhile, a low-pressure system rotates counterclockwise. Notice how those winds are coming from a different direction. When you change winds with direction or wind speed with height, that's called wind shear, aka a twist of the atmosphere, which is going to allow for either a stronger thunderstorm and a better chance for a tornado. Without wind shear, you're not going to have tornadoes. So let's get to your futurecast. So your futurecast by your Friday morning, I think at most you might have a stray shower, maybe some more patchy dense fog here and there, but for the most part, we're staying dry. Now we open up our window of opportunity, our weather alert window. By 2 p.m., we're seeing a line of thunderstorms. Any individual cell, as I mentioned, I think this is the sweet spot, about that 2 to 4 time frame, that if you have an individual thunderstorm and it turns into a supercell, that's where you could have the best chance for hail. Once you get to about 3 to 4 o'clock, notice the change. See this here, I'm going to bring up an arrow tool. You're looking at a classic signature here, and this is the worst case scenario. This is a bow echo. So see how it has a little bow, just like Katniss Everdeen here, and then often on the top side of this is called the bookend. That bookend is where you can have a spin-up tornado, but if you have a bowing segment like that, that's going to be an increased risk for damaging winds because it physically does that because the stronger winds within the storm are driving that piece forward compared to the rest of the front or the prefrontal boundary that's lagging behind. So that's what we're looking at. But this right here has this system moving much faster where it looks like 2 to 4 is impacting the Charlotte area, but then the worse the weather where it really gains strength is actually east of I-77. So we have a wide window about 2 to 8 just in case this thing slows down, but I also don't want you to get caught off guard that all of a sudden 2 o'clock, this line I think is going to be in the area. It's just a matter of where it starts to see that bowing segment and when it organizes itself. So we're weather alert across the board for all of us because of that. Today and tomorrow are also quite humid. You're feeling that muggy air. Jane had mentioned it, but then once that front passes, this is a cold front, that's going to make us feel better. So by the weekend, we have the lower 80s. You should feel a lot less humid. There's a slight chance we get to have a shower, mainly in the northern tier around I-40. And then after that, we're turning things up for June. Back to the upper 80s. We're still looking for our first official 90-degree temperature. We felt like 90, but we haven't hit 90. We'll be closer to that by the middle of next week. So as you can see, one day.
We don't need to be 90 just yet.
No, I'm fine with
time,
it.
Right?
I'm fine with it. We're good. It typically happens on May 20th, but we're very happy to prolong this as long as possible.
Interesting. The bow, as it went east of the Charlotte area. Why again is it forming there? I would expect it to form a little bit sooner, no?
Well, what happens is you need to have an organization, and I actually have a really cool diagram that I'm going to pull up here.
Cool.
So the reason why you see it is it takes time. So what's happening is you need clusters of thunderstorms to essentially start to kind of form together or for it to grow. So since it's the peak of the heating, which is usually right around the end of the afternoon, it's also the front isn't arriving until about that time frame. So say if we had the front that was arriving early afternoon, I think it would have the time, it would have the energy, but it's going to take its time for the time being. So here's a classic bow echo formation. Oftentimes you'll have one singular cell, which can often about times combine into other ones, but as those winds get a little bit stronger, it pushes it forward. It pushes it forward. So as time goes by, Jane, you're seeing a stronger push within the storm. So that's why it's taking its time. So it's actively probably about stage 2 by the time it's passing Charlotte, going on to stage 3, and by stage 4, it's actually actually could start to be counterproductive and start to weaken and bend back on itself. But it's right in those ends that you're seeing that you could have the rotation, sometimes a break-off supercell, and you're seeing that classic signature. So I actually have other versions of Futurecast that are far less. I always like to kind of give you the worst-case scenario, and then we just hope for the best.
Yeah. Katniss, you said.
Katniss Everdeen.
Looks like a shrimp.
A shrimp?
Oh, it does. Stage 4 is
Oh.
very shrimpy.
It's shrimpy.
I was, yeah.
As I saw that, I said shrimp.
Shrimp. I said
It's
immediately.
actually a scary shrimp. but
It's a
shrimp.
scary shrimp.
Horror
That would be like one of those volcano shrimp, the ones that are always spicy. A spicy shrimp, we'll just call it right
yeah.
there.
Well, now you're making me hungry.
Oh, I know, right?
Well, things are going to be otherwise good after
Oh, yeah.
tomorrow
Mhm.
night.
Yeah,
For the weekend.
Yeah, and here I'll just do this. The cool thing is because what I'm over here is when I come to the Impact Studio, I can just log into our weather computer. So we're just live doing it. I saw you doing from
Love it,
above.
love it.
So let's bring up our weekend forecast. Sorry, there's a bunch of Memorial Day ones that I don't want to show you.
That's okay.
Let me
We
see.
delete those, and we have.
We got
yeah,
time.
We have a few minutes left.
We got a few minutes. You know what? I don't think I've ever closed with you all. So this is
Well,
nice.
it's time to close.
Yeah,
Oh.
I've,
Time to close out.
I've usually been a starter, so as my native land would say. All right, 81
Starter.
degrees on Saturday, 80 on Sunday. I already showed it to you. It feels less humid than today and what tomorrow will feel like. There's the slightest chance for a little bit of rain, and since we have time, I do want to get to that. So I was showing you our surface map. So what's going to happen here is you have the front that passes, and that's going to actually keep things breezy. So that's one thing. If you're doing any yard work for whatever reason, bags blowing around, Saturday is windier than Sunday. This often sometimes takes 24 hours behind a front that the winds will pick up. We're going to have gusts at about 25. So I just want everyone to know about that. It's out of the cooler direction, but we're still seeing a decent amount of sunshine. Notice what happens on Saturday. Saturday to the north, you're seeing a few showers. So it's mainly north of Charlotte. This is about 4 p.m., firing up here and there. Slightest chance for your Saturday evening that we get nipped with a shower. This is just because there's a front that'll be meandering to the north. But as you can see, here I'll start it over. Most of your Saturday is A-okay, so I don't want you to really change any plans
Don't
because of
change
these.
the tea time.
Yeah, okay. Well, yeah. Hey, and I think that you could get a tea time in unless you're going at 5 o'clock like an animal and closing things down. I'm just joking. I've done the 5
Twilight.
o'clock because it was
It's
cheaper. Exactly, you got it. I've been there before.
That's how that goes.
Yeah, and here, I'll bring up our 10-day forecast.
We got about a minute.
I
So
was
you got to
gonna
get
say.
This
10
is-
days
We
in a
got
minute.
one.
No, well, I got this. 10 days. Today is your best chance. The next best chance looks to be next Saturday. So this weekend is much better than the following one. So take advantage. Actually, I have a tea time next Saturday, so that's disappointing. Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, if you want to check out the new Whataburger while you're out and about,
Oh, man, I can't wait.
this weekend might be.
I had it in college. I
okay.
went to Florida State. I haven't had it in 15 years.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yep, it's been
oh,
15
my gosh,
years.
and I left Texas a number of years ago. But anytime I fly through Dallas, I hit it.
Oh,
I
yeah.
make sure to go there. All right, Chris Mulcahy, thank you for keeping us weather aware.
Always.
All right, appreciate you coming in to the Impact Studio. Speaking of which, if you do want to continue